money based on a breach of
The
principle.
question has expired. Senator Polley.
Thank you, Mr President. My question is to the Assistant Minister for Social Services, Senator Fifield. Saturday marks 100 days since the government made the cruel and shocking decision to axe the Dementia and Severe Behaviour Supplement. I refer to internal correspondence obtained through a Freedom of Information request that states that the minister intends to develop both, and I quote, an interim and an ongoing measures. When will the interim measures be announced, Minister?
The Assistant Minister for Social Services and Manager of Government Business in the Senate, Senator Fifield.
Thank you, Mr President. I'm sure all colleagues will recall the background to the abolition of the Dementia and Severe Behaviour Supplement, which was the fact that in its first and only year of operation, last financial year, rather than costing $11.7 million, as was budgeted for and apparently designed by the previous government, it in the end cost $110 million, and rather than 2,000 people being eligible, as those opposite thought would be the case, it ended up being 29,000 people. Clearly, the government had to act, and act I did, Mr President, to conclude that supplement. But before acting, I looked at it long and hard to see if it was possible to salvage the design of that supplement. I looked to see whether it was possible to develop an interim measure. I looked to see if it was possible to salvage that supplement, and I reached the conclusion that it was not. And I'm glad that Senator Polley refers to information that has come to light through a Freedom of Information request by an ageing publication, which states—
Pause the clock. Senator Moore, a point of order.
Thank you, Mr President. My point of order is on direct relevance to the single question that was asked, which was, when will the interim measures be announced?
Order. 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 Senator Collins. The minister has been answering the question. He has been addressing the key elements of the question, and he has been directly relevant. Minister.
Thank you, Mr President. And the publication that received the Freedom of Information material says, and I quoted, "The documents cast doubt on the feasibility of calls from the opposition and some parts of the industry to redesign the supplement, which the department said would take years." So a leading ageing publication, on the basis of the material to which Senator Polley refers, said that those documents cast doubt on the feasibility of their calls to redesign the supplement. Mr President, I have made clear that we are working with the sector for a replacement that can be sustainable, a replacement that can operate within the original funding envelope. I have convened and already conducted a forum with people in the sector to work towards that very end.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Polley, a supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr President. I refer again to the correspondence from the minister, which confirms that he first received notice of the oversubscription in February this year. Why did the minister sit on his hands for 4 months before notifying the aged care sector that this supplement would be axed?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr President. It is true that I did receive from the department an update in February. As a result of that update, I commissioned the department to undertake a review to see whether it was possible to salvage the supplement. The conclusion that I reached on the basis of the review of the department was that it was not possible to salvage the design of the supplement. So bad was the design undertaken by the previous government. As I've indicated before, Mr President, this was not a situation of the creation of those on this side of the chamber. It was a situation of the creation of those on the other side of the chamber. And I am working with the sector to come forward with a replacement for the supplement. I mentioned before a forum that was in Melbourne, where I brought together a number of clinicians and providers and consumer groups to work through what could be a replacement, and I'm looking forward to receiving that advice in October.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Polley, final supplementary.
My final supplementary. Given that the Assistant Minister has refused to provide any timeline for a replacement scheme, I ask the Minister, how much longer will aged care providers, people suffering from severe symptoms of dementia, and their families have to wait? Another 100 days, or will it be longer, Minister?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr President. I want to be very careful that I don't make the blunders and mistakes of those opposite in redesigning the scheme. What we put in place will be something that will stand the test of time. And I also, Senator Polley, note in your question that you implied that the supplement was something that was paid to individuals. It was not. It was paid to providers to support individuals. It is not money that has come out of the pockets of individuals, and that is a mistaken impression that you have constantly sought to leave. It is not money that went into the pockets of individuals.
Pause the clock. Senator Polley, a point of order.
Yes, Mr President, I asked you to draw to the attention the minister, instead of trying to imply something that wasn't in the question, to answer the question
you're now
and give some
debating,
certainty
Senator
to the
Polley.
sector.
Minister, you have the call.
Thank you, Mr President, and I should indicate why I didn't invite Senator Polley or Mr Newman to the forum that I had in Melbourne with providers and clinicians and consumers, because I only invited those people who recognised that there was a problem with the previous design and wanted to make a contribution to putting something new in place. What you want to do is put the old supplement in place to see the budget blow out to the tune of $1.5 billion.
Thank you, Minister. The time
over
for
10
answering
years.
the question has expired.